Hey everyone, I am reacting to Erika Kirk. 5 days ago, she made a video that conservatives and liberals alike seem to enjoy making fun of. And I've watched a little bit of it, and there is a lot of cringe in this video. And Erika Kirk seems to be a person who really likes to hear herself talk and thinks she's like some badass. It's going to be really hard for me to contain the cringe.
It seems to me that nothing will ever be enough for the evil in this world. Our country has become unrecognizable. These people have perverted the truth to the point that they motivated.
Who are these people? Are you referring to everyone who disagrees with you? Or are you just referring to all liberals? Or just some liberals?
The murder of my husband. They have continuously tried to assassinate the president, and anyone who stands in their way is labeled hateful, racist, fascist, and every other trigger word that is grossly dishonest. We want the best for our country.
Okay, well, most people want the best for this country. The problem is that there is no singular idea of what is the best for this country. Like, we all have different opinions about what is best for this country. And just because those opinions don't align with your own doesn't automatically mean that they are bad or wrong.
They don't. This is why Charlie started Turning Point USA in the first place. He didn't trust the radicalized liberal teachers. And this past Saturday, it was a school.
Okay, what do you mean by radicalized liberal teachers? Do you mean people who think trans people should have a right to exist without being assaulted? Is that like radicalized to you?
Teacher of all people, a school teacher that attempted to change our history for the worst with bullets. And everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me, and I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite.
So, did they really attempt to dehumanize you, or were they calling you out on your shit? Like, I need to see what they actually were saying, and I need to actually, like, hear what they said about you to really determine that, because frankly, you seem to be a very sensitive person, and you don't like criticism. Even though you really like to criticize other people, you do not like other people criticizing you for anything.
Frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me? So, for example, a journalist from the Daily Mail came up to me. She introduced herself, and she was very gracious. She was saying, "You look so beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss." To which I replied, "It is so nice to put a name to the face, especially with all of the slander, the lies, accusations that are out there surrounding my husband's murder and myself."
Okay, are in this video, are you going to actually address these lies and the slander? Like, are you going to address the specific lies and slander?
Let's discuss that fact for a second. If you were in that room, you had no way of knowing what the status of the shooter was, how many there were, or honestly, really anything. It was just utter chaos. And so during an active shooting, these journalists are using their phones to find moments to capture for clips. They were so concerned about getting a video in a room with an active shooter that they could have accidentally and quite literally filmed themselves being shot. Many of those people have become so desensitized that fight or flight became secondary to the opportunity of
Okay, well, I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what they were thinking, but it's possible that they were filming because they wanted to identify who was responsible easily so that they could show it to police later.
putting themselves into the story, which ironically breaks the number one rule of journalism. And again, ironically enough, the shooter was a teacher.
Wasn't Charlie Kirk the one who said that, like, school shootings were worth it for gun rights? Like, I find it funny that you're talking about how journalists are so desensitized now to shootings, but Charlie Kirk seemed pretty insensitive to shootings himself with the rhetoric that he preached.
You have these people who are supposed to be teaching our children the future of this country, and he's so unhinged that he is able to teach children by day and then attempt to murder the president of the United States by night.
Okay, but most teachers are not shooters. Like, this was an exception. Statistically, most shooters are like white men who are not teachers. Like, this was one shooter who happened to be a teacher, and you're making it sound like there's this epidemic of shooters who are teachers.
On TikTok, teens get over 50 built-in protections from the start.
Okay, this is
But
like
for parents, further visibility and control of content can help shape the environment that .com/
And in his manifesto, he starts by contextualizing himself by saying, I am a citizen of the United States of America. And while we may have big problems with illegal immigration in this country, I have to tell you, we have an even bigger problem when it comes to the systemic indoctrination and radicalization of our own citizens. This is what got my husband killed. This is what has led to...
So you're making it like a political thing where like shooters, the shooters are just these radical liberals who just want to shoot conservatives, and you're trying to make it out to be like that's like the majority of shooters, when in many cases the shooter is somebody who already has mental health issues, and they're likely using their political movement as like an excuse. And you're trying to make it out to be like a political thing.
3 legitimate attempts on President Trump's life. And I can speak firsthand to that unbearable toll that this must take on our First Lady. There has never been a president who has faced this many assassination attempts in Americans' entire history. And after each one, the reaction from the far left has been, at best, a shrug, and in some cases, a sick disappointment that the shooter was unsuccessful. We are all human beings. And if you can just...
Well, Trump doesn't care about school shootings, does he? So why should we care so much about Trump? Like, I'm not saying I'm happy there was an attempt to assassinate him. I think assassinations we should not be normalizing, period. We shouldn't be normalizing shootings. But why should we care so much about Trump's life, when Trump himself doesn't seem to give much of a shit about the lives of the children who have been killed in school shootings? Like, you're saying that leftists are like bad people because they're not devastated that like there was an assassination attempt on Trump. But yet Trump and many other conservatives they don't want to care much about innocent children being killed in school shootings. They just want to shrug that off. So isn't the right kind of doing the same thing?
If you can just pause and just take a minute and ask yourself, how would you feel if even just one person made cruel jokes about the attempted murder of your loved one? That is what Jimmy Kimmel did to the First Lady. He said that she had the glow of an expected widow. The glow of an expected widow. Just 48 hours before that nightmare almost became a reality. And this culture we're living in absorbs disagreement as a form of personal betrayal. It turns having an opposing viewpoint into a moral crime worthy of punishment. And
it depends on what you mean by an opposing view. People who think that certain groups shouldn't exist, that is a moral issue. That is an opposing view, yes, but it's also an ethical position. This isn't the same as somebody like simply being like, oh, well, this school shouldn't be built here. That's one opposing view. But the opposing view of having an opposing view that like certain groups of people shouldn't be able to exist or be protected from hate crimes, that is an ethical position.
And here's what I've realized through all of this, truly, having lived through quite literal hell these past 7 months, if you strip someone of their humanity long enough, you will arrive at the chilling conclusion that they don't deserve to exist at all.
Isn't that what Charlie Kirk did? And a lot of conservatives do to minorities every single day. Like, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I was sad about that. But I am not going to sit here and pretend like Charlie Kirk was a good person or his ideas were good. His ideas were dog shit. And that's why we have lots of Republicans thinking that the lives of certain minority groups don't matter. It's because of the views that were being platformed by people like Charlie Kirk. You're complaining about Charlie Kirk being dehumanized, but that's exactly what Charlie Kirk did with his rhetoric, is he dehumanized groups of people. Don't you think that's hypocritical?
Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me.
Okay, that's literally every famous person has to deal with that. You are not an exception. And I mean, I hate calling you famous, but I mean, you are a popular political figure.
I have comedians dressing up in whiteface.
Whiteface. I watched those videos. They were hilarious. But wouldn't your husband have just said, "Hey," to the people that were offended by blackface? Wouldn't he have just said, "Hey, you're too sensitive. It's just a joke"? So why are you getting all offended by it? Shouldn't you be able to take a joke? It's just a joke, right?
I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on.
Yeah, and Candace Owens is a conservative. So a lot of the backlash you're getting is from your own people.
On and on. There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of that comes from your people. It's not just a leftist thing. There are people on the right literally trying to eradicate certain groups of people because they don't think they deserve to exist. And you're sitting here complaining about dehumanization? Why don't you look at yourself and your own party?
What is happening right now is something none of us can afford to ignore. The evil forces working to divide us, to distract us.
I mean, isn't that what Charlie Kirk did? His whole platform was built around owning the libs. Don't you think that creates more division?
And to pull us apart has never been stronger. This is a moment for Americans to come together and decide what kind of country we are going to be before we lose our country.
And Americans coming together to you means agreeing with everything you say. Because otherwise, they're a bunch of radicalized liberals, right?
Country altogether. In Romans chapter 12, verse 21, it says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." And this is why my husband created Turning Point USA, so we could have civil discourse and debate.
Yeah. He was really about civil discourse, wasn't he? From all his videos about dedicated towards owning college students, owning the dumb libs. He built his channel off of that. So it was really full of thoughtful and civil discourse between two sides, right? That's totally what his channel was built on.
An open dialogue, because when we stop talking to each other, bad things happen. I am choosing to fight for America, for my children, for your children, and for our humanity, because we all need to do our part. And by the grace of God, we will succeed, and America will remain what she was always called to be, a shining city on a hill, a light to the world. So let me give you a perfect example of how it's done. My husband did it best, and left us the blueprint on how to have uncomfortable conversations with those who disagree. Buckle up, everybody. Here we go.
Okay, well, that was the video, and yeah, it was pretty cringy, and I don't know what else to say, but leave your comments in the comment section, give me feedback, share what you think. Do you support Erika Kirk? Do you hate Erika Kirk? And let me know why. Thanks for watching.